The city never sleeps. It just hides its sins better at night. Rain slides down glass towers in Seoul, washing nothing clean. Somewhere between penthouses and underground tunnels, a secret changes hands, and the wrong person hears it. At 2:47 a.m., a door that was never meant to open is forced wide. A woman runs barefoot through a world that wants her erased. A man who built his life on control is forced to choose between silence and war. Before the night ends, kings will be exposed. Witnesses will be hunted. And the truth will step into the light, whether the city survives it or not. Stay with this story, because once it begins, there is no safe way out. The glass shattered before the alarm could scream. Crystal exploded across the marble floor, fragments skittering like panicked insects as the champagne flute disintegrated midair. The sound was sharp, violent, an intrusion. Kang Jae-hyun didn't flinch. He stood motionless in the center of his penthouse, rain-streaked city lights bleeding through floor-to-ceiling windows behind him. His silk robe hung perfectly from his shoulders, dark, immaculate. The whiskey in his hand barely rippled. 35 years old. 15 years in power. 17 documented assassination attempts. The chaos had learned to announce itself more politely around him. Then the door exploded inward. Wood splintered. Metal screamed. The security lock tore free from its housing as the reinforced door slammed against the wall with enough force to crack the concrete beneath it. A body stumbled through the wreckage. Bare feet slapped against marble. A woman, breathing hard, gasping, nearly collapsed forward before catching herself on the doorframe. Her black cocktail dress was torn at the shoulder, fabric hanging loose, skin exposed and scraped raw. Mascara streaked down her cheeks in black rivers, eyes wide, wild, searching. She slammed the door shut behind her with both hands, fumbled with the deadbolt, missed it once, swore under her breath, then locked it. Only then did she turn. For 3 seconds, she didn't see him. For 3 seconds, Kang Jae-hyun watched her like a man observing an anomaly in a controlled experiment. She pressed her back against the door, chest heaving, curls sticking to her damp face. One diamond earring still clung to her ear, catching the low light. The other was gone. Then her eyes lifted. They met his. Her breath hitched so hard it sounded like it hurt. Oh, the sound cracked apart in her throat. Oh God. Jae-hyun felt it then.
Surprise.real, sharp, a welcome surprise.
She stared at him. At the robe, the watch worth more than her car, the stillness of him, the cold assessment in his gaze, and her panic morphed into something worse. Understanding. This was a mistake, she whispered. Oh God, this was a mistake. He set the whiskey glass down with deliberate precision. The sound of it touching the table was softer than the rain outside, louder than her heartbeat. How? He asked calmly. Did you bypass my security? She blinked at him.
Once. Twice.
Security. Her voice trembled. I didn't see any security. The stairwell door was unlocked. I ran. I climbed from the 14th floor. Your door was the first one with lights on. Her words collapsed into each other. She swallowed hard. I heard voices behind me, she continued.
Men.
They were shouting. I didn't think. Footsteps. Muffled. Heavy. Voices drifted through the hallway outside the suite.
Male.
Rough. Speaking rapid Korean. The woman spun toward the door, terror tearing across her face. They're here, she breathed. They're here. Oh, Jesus. Every instinct Jae-hyun had sharpened over a decade screamed the same command. Remove the variable. Step aside. Let the storm pass. This was not his war. This was not his problem. 15 years ago, he had buried the last part of himself that believed in coincidence. Since then, everything that entered his life did so with intent, including her. Please, she said suddenly, turning back to him. Her knees nearly buckled. I know this is insane. I know I shouldn't be here, but I don't know where else to go. Her voice broke. I'll leave.
I swear.
I'll disappear. Just give me 20 minutes. 20 minutes. That was all she was asking for. Jae-hyun took one step toward her. She flinched. He reached out and closed his hand around her wrist. She was warm.
Alive.
Her pulse hammered against his thumb like a trapped bird. Move, he said quietly. She didn't argue. He pulled her deeper into the penthouse just as the voices outside grew louder, sharper. Someone tried the handle.
Locked.
Bathroom, he ordered, already moving. She stumbled after him. Barefoot feet skidding on marble, silent now, instinctively understanding that sound meant death. They crossed into his bedroom, past pristine sheets untouched by human warmth, and into the master bathroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city, like a battlefield of light. Jae-hyun yanked open what looked like a linen closet. Shelving slid aside with a mechanical whisper. A hidden door revealed itself. Cold blue light spilled out. She stared. What? Inside, he said. She hesitated, eyes darting between the small, fortified space and his face. Will you? Her voice shook. Will you come with me? The question landed harder than it should have. He met her eyes. Yes. Relief hit her so fast she almost cried. They barely fit inside the panic room. Her back pressed against monitors glowing with live security feeds. His body formed a shield between her and the door. He could smell her fear.
Sweat. Perfume.
Expensive, Chanel Noir. His finger hovered over the seal button. On the monitors, 3 men stepped into his living room. Dark suits. Professional posture. Guns already drawn. Not his people. Interesting. She followed his gaze. You're not calling anyone, she whispered. Why aren't you calling your security? He glanced down at her. Who are you? She swallowed. Amara, she said. Amara Cole. The name slid into his mind and didn't settle right. And you're thinking I'm trouble, she continued quickly. And I am. I know I am. But I swear to God, if you let me hide here, I'll vanish. You'll never see me again. What did you do, he asked, to make men like that chase you? Her eyes flicked back to the screen. I saw something. The men outside argued in hushed tones, debating whether to force entry. I was at a fundraiser, she said. The Gatsby. Downtown. Senator Caldwell Reed was there. That name landed differently. Jae-hyun felt the air in the room change. I went to the restroom. Amara continued, voice trembling. When I came back, I heard voices in one of the private rooms. I shouldn't have listened. I know I shouldn't have. She squeezed her eyes shut. They were talking about a shipment.
His jaw tightened.
One of them laughed and said, the judge needs his product. And Reed, her voice cracked. Reed laughed. Jae-hyun's finger lowered from the seal button. How many men? 4, she whispered. One had a Russian accent. The monitors showed one of the intruders raising a radio. They had photographs, Amara said, tears spilling over. Girls.
Young.
Reed said. She couldn't finish. He said they'd be perfect for the premium collection. Silence swallowed the panic room. Jae-hyun didn't move. Didn't blink. Something inside him went very still. On the monitor, his lobby security team played cards, oblivious. Upper floor cameras were dark. Someone had planned this. Someone had known. This isn't coincidence, he said quietly. She looked at him, confused and terrified. What? This is war knocking. The pounding at his suite door intensified. Metal screamed as tools bit into the lock. Amara's breath came fast and shallow. They're going to kill me, she whispered. I dragged this into your life. I'm so sorry. Jae-hyun finally sealed the panic room. The door slid shut just as the lock outside gave way. In the dim blue glow, he turned to her. Tell me everything, he said. Every word you heard. Her voice shook as she spoke, but she didn't stop. And as she did, calm Jae-hyun realized something he hadn't felt in 15 years. Not fear. Purpose. The first shot is silent. Not suppressed, absent. 1 second the hallway cameras show armed men advancing. The next, the feed goes black. Then the men disappear. Not killed on camera. Not dragged away.
Just gone.
Jae-hyun stands in the panic room, pale face lit by blue screens, head slightly tilted like he's listening to something Amara can't hear. Amara's breath catches. "Where did they go?" she whispers. Jae-hyun doesn't look at her. "My ghosts," he says calmly. A soft click sounds in his ear. Then another. Then a third. Invisible confirmations. Amara stares at him. "You're what?" He finally turns. His eyes are cold again, but now she sees something beneath it.
Depth. History. Teeth.
Men who don't exist, he says. Who don't fail. And who don't get caught. The lights flicker once. Somewhere above them, someone screams. Then silence. Amara presses her back against the wall, chest tight. "You didn't call the police," she says.
No.
"You didn't run."
No.
"You didn't panic." A pause. "I don't panic." The panic room door unlocks with a hydraulic hiss. Jae-hyun steps out first, gun low but ready. The hallway smells like ozone and blood. 3 bodies lie where the cameras once watched, clean kills, surgical, precise. No wasted movement. Amara swallows hard. "This wasn't a robbery," she says.
No.
"This wasn't random."
No.
She looks at him now, really looks. "You're not just rich," she says. He meets her gaze.
No.
They move fast, private elevator, biometric scan, descent. The car hums softly as it drops. Amara's hands shake. She curls them into fists. "Those men," she says. "They weren't amateurs."
No.
"They came prepared." "Yes." "They knew the layout." "Yes." "They disabled the cameras before I even ran." Jae-hyun's jaw tightens. That's the first crack she's seen since the panic room. She turns fully toward him. "You already knew that." He exhales slowly through his nose. "They didn't just come for you," he says. "They prepared for you." Her throat tightens. "Meaning?" "Meaning," he says evenly. "Someone knew you would flee." Silence fills the elevator. The realization hits her like ice water. I wasn't a coincidence," she whispers.
No.
"I was bait." "Yes." Her knees feel weak. "They wanted me to run," she says. "They wanted me scared. Visible. They wanted you to lead them to me." Her voice breaks. "But I didn't know you." That's what made it believable. The elevator slows. Amara stares at the mirrored wall, seeing herself reflected, barefoot, torn dress, eyes too old for her face. "They used me," she says. Jae-hyun says nothing. "They used my fear," she continues. "My panic. My instincts." "Yes." She laughs softly, hollow. "So what now?" "I die because I was convenient." He turns to her fully now.
No.
"Why?" she asks sharply. "Why not hand me over?" "You heard them. This is a war." "Because," he says quietly, "they don't get to decide who is expendable." She studies him. "You believe that." "It's the only belief I still have." The elevator stops. Doors open. Waiting inside is Ambassador Park Dae-suk. Immaculate suit. Silver hair. Diplomatic smile that never reaches his eyes. 2 security men stand behind him. Amara freezes. Park spreads his hands slightly. Jae-hyun. Always dramatic. Jae-hyun doesn't raise his gun. "Step aside," he says.
Park chuckles softly.
Still so direct. "You never did learn patience." Amara glances between them. "You know him." Park's eyes flick to her. Assessing. Calculating. "So this is the girl," Park says. "Smaller than I imagined." Jae-hyun steps subtly in front of Amara. "That's far enough." Park sighs. "You always were sentimental about the wrong things. Say what you came to say." Park nods. "Very well." He straightens his cufflinks. "Give me the girl," he says, "and I will give you back everything you lost." The air goes cold. Amara's breath stutters. "Everything." Jae-hyun repeats. "Your territories," Park says smoothly. "Your seat. Your protection. Even the charges that complicated your past." Amara turns sharply. "What charges?" Jae-hyun doesn't look at her. Park continues. "The council misses you. Seoul has become unstable, without your guidance. Jae-hyun smiles faintly. You mean profitable? Park's lips twitch. I mean orderly. And the girl? Park shrugs. She becomes history. Amara's heart pounds. You knew, she says suddenly. You knew they'd use me. Park looks at her with mild curiosity. Of course. Fear is very motivating. Her voice trembles with rage. You planned this? Yes. You watched them hunt me? Yes. And you're offering him a reward?
Park tilts his head.
We reward loyalty. Jae-hyun's gun rises. Park's smile falters. Now. The shot is deafening in the enclosed space. Park collapses, blood blooming across his chest. Amara screams. The guards reach for their weapons. 2 more shots. Both drop. Silence crashes down. Amara stares at Jae-hyun. He lowers the gun calmly, smoke curling from the barrel. You didn't hesitate, she whispers. He crossed my line. What line? The one where I trade a life for comfort. She looks at the body, then back at him. You just declared war. Jae-hyun meets her gaze. It was already declared. They move again, faster now. Alarms begin to wail. Red lights flash. Was that a diplomat? Amara asks breathlessly as they run. Yes. You killed him. Yes. For me. He doesn't answer. They reach a secure stairwell. She grabs his arm. Say it. He stops. Yes, he says quietly. For you. Her eyes fill. You don't even know me. I know enough. What? That you didn't look away. She shakes her head. I didn't do anything. You listened, he says. And that was enough. Her voice cracks. I never wanted this. Neither did I. She studies him, this cold, dangerous man who just murdered a powerful figure without blinking. And yet, she says softly, you saved me. He looks away. I failed once, he says. I don't fail twice. The building shakes. An explosion tears through the upper floors. Concrete dust rains down the stairwell. Amara screams. Jae-hyun pulls her against him, shielding her. Move, he commands. They sprint downward. Gunfire erupts above them. Jae-hyun speaks into his calm. They've escalated. A voice responds. Confirmed. Full assault underway. Another explosion. This is Morrison. Amara gasps. He's not hiding anymore. No, Jae-hyun says grimly. He's cleaning. They burst into an underground garage. Cars burn. Men shout. Chaos everywhere. This building is compromised. A voice crackles.
Évacuation impossible.
Jae-hyun swears under his breath. Then, decisively, initiates sanctuary protocol. There's a pause. Then, understood. The ground trembles. A hidden elevator opens behind a concrete wall. What is this place? Amara pants. He ushers her inside. The only place Morrison can't touch. The doors close as the garage explodes behind them. The elevator descends far deeper than before. Lights dim. Air grows cooler. Amara's ears pop. Where are we going? She asks. Jae-hyun's voice is low. To the garden. Her brow furrows. That sounds peaceful. It isn't. The elevator slows. Doors slide open. They step into a vast underground sanctuary. Stone walls, warm lighting, controlled silence. Men bow as Jae-hyun passes. Not criminals. Not guards. Caretakers. Strategists. Shadows. Amara stares. This is real, she whispers. Yes. This is who you are. Yes. She turns to him, fear and awe colliding. And now, she says softly, I'm inside your war. Jae-hyun looks at her. No, he corrects. You're the reason it ends. The underground station opened into a chamber that should not have existed. Stone arches curved overhead like the ribs of some ancient creature, polished smooth by time and money. Soft amber lighting lined the walls, casting long shadows across a circular floor engraved with symbols Amara didn't recognize, but instinctively feared. The air smelled of incense and cold steel. People were already waiting. Not guards. Not soldiers. Powers. Men and women stood in quiet clusters, dressed in tailored suits, traditional silks, minimalist black, every style deliberate, every posture controlled. Some leaned on canes. Some rested hands on weapons worn openly, unapologetically. Their eyes followed calm Jaehyun the moment he stepped forward, the room subtly shifting to accommodate him. Amara felt it then, the weight of being seen by people who decided whether cities slept or burned. A woman moved to the center. Madame Unhwa was small, almost delicate, her silver hair pulled back into a low knot. She wore a simple charcoal hanbok, no jewelry, no visible weapon. But her eyes were still black, bottomless. When she spoke, the room obeyed. "You invoked sanctuary," she said calmly, "and brought violence to neutral ground." Jaehyun bowed. "Not deeply. Respectfully.
Carefully.
Senator Reed crossed the treaty," he replied. "He traffics children through our ports. When his crimes were witnessed, he attempted to erase the witness on civilian ground." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Amara felt them like pressure changes, people recalculating alliances in real time. Madame Unhwa's gaze shifted to her. "You," she said. "Step forward." Amara's legs wanted to refuse. Her body moved anyway. She stood alone in the center of the circle, barefoot on cold stone, surrounded by people who had ended lives with a sentence. Her voice trembled when she started, but it didn't break. "I was at a fundraiser," she said, hosted by Senator Reed's donors. "I went looking for the restroom. I heard voices in a private room." She closed her eyes, forcing herself back into the moment. He was laughing. He said, "The judge needs his product delivered next Thursday." Someone else, Russian accent, asked if the girl was compliant yet. Reed said she would be once she understood the value of silence. A sharp intake of breath echoed somewhere. "They had photos," Amara continued. "Girls. One of them couldn't have been older than 16. Reed said she'd be perfect for the premium tier." Silence fell heavy and absolute. When Amara opened her eyes, several faces had hardened. Others had gone carefully blank. A man to the left spoke first. "If this is true, harboring her invites federal attention."
Va.
Another voice answered. "If we hand her over, we protect the treaty." Amara's chest tightened. "Sacrifice her equals peace." She looked toward Jaehyun. He hadn't moved. His face was carved from stone, but his hands, barely visible at his sides, were clenched tight. Madame Unhwa turned to him. "You stake sanctuary on her testimony," she said. "Why?" The pause stretched too long. Then Jaehyun spoke. "3 years ago," he said evenly, "Senator Reed trafficked my sister." The room froze. Her name was Somin. She was 17. He got her back eventually. Too late to undo what they had done to her. She survived 6 months. Then she stopped trying. "I am not here for revenge," Jaehyun continued. "I am here because justice unfinished becomes rot. And rot spreads." No one spoke. Madame Unhwa studied him for a long moment. "Sanctuary is granted," she said at last. "Conditionally. You have 1 week to produce evidence that will destroy Reed publicly. Fail, and the treaty demands balance." Amara understood exactly what that meant. Later, in the quiet of the underground residence they were assigned, the silence between them felt louder than gunfire. "You didn't have to tell them," Amara said softly. "Yes," Jaehyun replied. "I did." She watched him from the doorway. He stood at the window, hands braced on the glass, Seoul's hidden veins glowing faintly beneath them. "You crossed a line for me," she said. Again. He didn't turn. "Don't mistake purpose for attachment." "But you shook," she said, "when you said her name." He exhaled slowly. "Somin died believing she was weak," he said. "I let her believe that. I won't repeat that mistake." Before Amara could answer, alarms wailed, low, urgent. Mina burst in, blood streaking her temple. "Boss. Patterson just went public." Screens flickered on. Arthur Patterson. Confessing. Names.
Dates.
Financial trails. Reed's network exposed. And then Amara's face appeared. Labeled whistleblower. Hero. Jae-hyun's blood ran cold. This burns everyone, Mina said. Council included. Another alert. Federal raids. Tunnels compromised. And then the message that made the room tilt. They're calling for her, Mina said quietly. Trial by consensus. Amara's knees buckled. They think I planted this, she whispered. They think I destroyed their world. Jae-hyun crossed the room and took her face in both hands, steady, grounding. I believe you, he said. That won't save me. No, he agreed. But this might. He straightened, eyes burning with a clarity she hadn't seen before. Tell every ally, he ordered Mina. Every debt. We go up. Amara stared at him. Up is where the feds are. Exactly. When he turned back to her, something unguarded flickered across his face.
Stay alive, he said.
That's the only rule. She took the weapon he offered, heart pounding. Can you? She asked. His smile was tired. Real. Probably not, he said. But it'll be interesting finding out. Above them, justice descended. Below them, the underworld prepared to decide who deserved to survive. And between those two forces, Amara understood the truth at last. She hadn't crashed into Kang Jae-hyun's life by accident. The alarms didn't stop. They layered over each other, metallic, insistent, different tones signaling different disasters, until the underground residents felt like it was breathing panic. Screens along the corridor walls flickered from security feeds to breaking news banners and back again, unable to decide which catastrophe deserved priority. Amara stood frozen as the truth unfolded in real time. Arthur Patterson hadn't saved anyone. He had burned everything. The confession kept rolling. Documents, recordings, bank transfers scrolling down the screen in merciless precision. Names spilled out like shrapnel. Shell companies. Offshore accounts.
Ports.
Judges. Fixers. Syndicates. The council. The garden. The tunnels. 20 years of quiet rule exposed in 12 minutes of broadcast time. Federal task forces mobilized across the city. Warrants signed. Emergency powers invoked. Helicopters lifting into the rain. Every hidden artery of the underworld suddenly glowing red on government maps. Mina swore under her breath. This isn't leverage. This is annihilation. Jae-hyun said nothing. His face had gone still in a way Amara recognized now. Not calm, not control, but calculation under extreme loss. He was already moving pieces in a game where the board was on fire. Another alert cut through the noise. Council emergency session. Immediate quorum. Amara felt it before anyone said the words. They're blaming you, Mina said quietly, eyes scanning her tablet. They're saying you were planted. That Patterson used you to flush them all into the light. Amara's chest tightened. That's insane. I didn't even know any of this existed. Doesn't matter, Mina replied. They need a reason. And you're the only variable they didn't control. The chamber doors slid open again, revealing the council gathered in furious disorder. Gone was the measured calm, the ritual silence.
This was raw now.
Fear sharpened into anger. Survival stripping away decorum. Madame Unhwa stood at the center, her expression unchanged, but something brittle had crept into her stillness. The treaty is broken, one man snapped. Because of her. She is the common denominator, another voice added. Everything detonated the moment she appeared. Amara stepped forward before Jae-hyun could stop her. I didn't plan this, she said, voice shaking but loud enough. I ran because men were trying to kill me. That's it. I didn't even know who you were until tonight. You knew enough, someone spat. Enough to destroy us. Madame Unhwa raised a hand, and the room quieted. Intent is irrelevant, she said softly. Impact is not. Her gaze settled on Jae-hyun. You invoked sanctuary for her. Now she has brought annihilation to our doorstep. The balance demands correction. Amara felt the word land like a sentence already passed. Execution by consensus. She turned to Jae-hyun, searching his face for something, anything, that said this wasn't where her story ended. He looked torn. Not afraid. Not uncertain.
Exposed.
This ends if you give me time, he said to the council. I can redirect the narrative. I can. There is no time, Madame Unwa replied. Federal forces are 6 minutes out. We cannot move fast enough to erase what has been revealed. We can only show the world that we still control our own. Amara swallowed. You're going to kill me to prove a point, to preserve what remains, the old woman corrected gently. Jae-hyun stepped in front of her without hesitation.
No.
The word echoed. Several weapons shifted. You would choose her, someone said incredulously. Over all of us? Jae-hyun didn't look away from Madame Unwa. I would choose not to repeat my greatest failure. The room stilled. Amara felt it then, the truth he'd been holding at arm's length finally surfacing. I built walls, Jae-hyun continued, voice steady but stripped bare. Not to protect power. To protect myself from ever caring enough to be broken again. I told myself connection was weakness. That isolation was discipline. He exhaled slowly. And then she ran into my home bleeding and terrified, and I did the one thing I swore I never would again. He glanced back at Amara, and the look in his eyes stole her breath. I cared. She shook her head, tears burning.
No.
You didn't save me because I was useful. The words came out before fear could stop them. You saved me because you remember your sister. The room felt like it cracked open. Jae-hyun closed his eyes for half a second. When he opened them, the ice was gone. What remained was grief. Old, unhealed, furious. Yes, he said quietly.
Ido.
Madame Unwa studied them both. Then you leave us no choice, she said. Before anyone could move, Mina's voice cut through the chamber. Federal breach, she said. Now. The lights flickered. The ground vibrated. Somewhere above them, reinforced doors were being forced open. Chaos erupted. Council members scattered, shouting orders, guards rushing to secure exits that no longer mattered. Sirens bled through the stone like a dying heartbeat. Jae-hyun grabbed Amara's hand. Run, he said. Where? She gasped. Up. They sprinted into the corridor as the underworld collapsed behind them, alarms screaming, alliances dissolving, a civilization of shadows dragged screaming into daylight. As they ran, Amara understood something with terrifying clarity. She hadn't been the bomb. She had been the spark. And now, with everything burning, the only question left was whether the truth would consume them both, or finally set something free. The rain thinned as they reached the surface, not stopping, just softening into a cold mist that clung to skin and clothes. Seoul breathed around them. Traffic humming in the distance, neon lights flickering like nothing underneath the city had just collapsed. Jae-hyun didn't slow until they were 3 blocks away. Only then did he pull Amara into the shadow of a closed storefront and finally let go of her hand. For a fraction of a second, he leaned forward, palms on his knees, breathing hard. Amara watched him closely. She had seen him calm under gunfire, unflinching in judgment rooms, unmoved by death threats. This was different. This was a man realizing the board had flipped. They're mobilizing, he said quietly, straightening. His voice was steady again, but something behind it had shifted. Every remaining council cell, private security, mercenaries, anyone still loyal. And the feds? Amara asked. They're closer than they look. He glanced upward, as if he could see satellites through cloud cover. Someone already fed them everything Vaughn released. They'll want blood fast. Clean endings. Her jaw tightened. So we're between everyone. Yes. She let out a breath that almost turned into a laugh, but didn't. Figures. A secure phone buzzed in his coat pocket. Jae-hyun checked it once, then powered it down and removed the battery with practiced efficiency. Read? Amara asked. He's gone off-grid, Jae-hyun said. Which means he's not running. He's setting fire to the map. As if summoned by his words, Amara's phone vibrated. Unknown source. No number. Just a data packet forcing itself through every firewall she had left. The screen filled with a single line of text. You took everything from me. Then the video loaded. It wasn't long. 30 seconds. Grainy, but deliberate. Faces blurred, timestamps manipulated, audio spliced with care. It showed meetings Jae-hyun had never attended, orders he had never given, shipments he had never authorized. His name stitched into crimes spanning 2 decades. Amara felt cold spread through her chest. This is fabricated, she said immediately, turning the phone toward him. I know, he replied. You're sure? He nodded once. Because if I'd done even half of this, Reed would have used it years ago. Her phone buzzed again. And again. Warrants. International. Emergency authorization. Red markers spreading across a digital map like a disease. Kill orders followed seconds later. Unofficial.
Clean.
Quiet. Amara swallowed. They're coming for you. For both of us, he corrected. She looked up at him sharply.
No.
This was aimed at you.
I'm collateral.
Jae-hyun stepped closer, lowering his voice. You stopped being collateral the moment you walked into my home. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The city noise filled the space between them, cars passing, distant laughter, a life that didn't know it was about to change. Then Jae-hyun reached inside his coat. Amara stiffened automatically, instincts flaring. But he didn't pull a gun. He pulled a compact matte black pistol and held it out grip first. Her eyes widened. You said. I said not to fight, he cut in softly. That hasn't changed. She didn't take it. Then why are you giving me that? So you don't die if I fail. The honesty in his tone hit harder than any speech could have. I don't arm people lightly, he continued. And I don't trust easily. I trusted my sister. And then I trusted no one for 15 years. He met her gaze. I trust you. Amara's throat tightened. Slowly, she reached out and took the weapon. It felt heavier than it should have. I don't want to be like you, she said quietly. A corner of his mouth twitched, not a smile, but something close. Good. The world already has one of me too many. Another message arrived. This one audio only. Reed's voice poured through the speaker, ragged, furious, almost laughing. You see what I did? Reed said. They're going to erase you, Jae-hyun. Just like they erased her. Just like they'll erase her too. Amara's blood ran cold. This isn't about winning anymore, Reed continued. It's about making sure no one tells the story. The message ended. Silence followed. Amara looked at Jae-hyun slowly. He's not trying to survive. No, Jae-hyun said. His eyes hardened, something dark and focused settling into place. He's trying to burn the archive. She exhaled shakily. Council behind us. Law above us. Reed ahead of us. Yes. And no safe place left. He glanced down the street, where sirens had begun to wail somewhere far away. Then we moved forward. Amara nodded once, fear and resolve mixing in her chest. Toward him. Jae-hyun stepped out of the shadows first, already planning 3 moves ahead, but for the first time in years, he didn't feel alone doing it. Behind them, the city kept breathing. Ahead of them, everything waited to burn. Blue and red lights explode across the street the moment they step forward. Sirens scream. Tires skid. Floodlights snap on so hard the night fractures. Police. Hands where we can see them. Guns rise in unison. Black steel, steady arms, no hesitation. Cameras are already rolling. News vans crowd the intersection, lenses trained, drones hovering above like metal vultures. Faces glow behind viewfinders. This isn't an arrest. It's a spectacle. Jae-hyun doesn't move. He doesn't run. He straightens slowly, shoulders back, eyes calm, as if the city itself has finally caught up to him. Amara feels the weight of every lens turned toward her. The witness. The survivor. The problem that refused to disappear. Truth and power stand inches apart now, live and irreversible. Someone shouts his name. Someone else shouts hers. The world holds its breath. When everything is exposed, who survives the truth? The king, the witness, or neither? Your comment would trigger the concluding part. The screen goes dark. But the story doesn't end here. What happens when the truth finally breathes in daylight? When power can no longer hide in the shadows? When the witness refuses to disappear, and the king refuses to kneel? This isn't just about who gets arrested. It's about who gets erased. Because if Jaehyun falls, the world will call it justice. If Amara falls, the truth dies with her. And if both survive, everything you thought you knew about the city will burn. Part 2 answers one question only. Who pays the price when the truth goes public? If you want the story to continue, if you want to see what happens after the cameras stop rolling, request Part 2 in the comments. Like,
Subscribe.
stay close, because the next move won't be made in the dark.